Today on Flipping Science, we're looking at the reaction of acids with metal oxides and hydroxides, metal sulfides, metals, metal carbonates, and metal hydrogen carbonates. We're going to start by looking at the reaction between acids, metal oxides, and metal hydroxides. General formula is acid plus metal oxide goes to salt and water. In our first example, we'll look at the reaction between hydrochloric acid and sodium oxide. Now, to make the salt, we're going to look at the positive part of the basic section, so that's our sodium ion here, so sodium. And the negative part of the acid, the chloride ion, that's going to make up the other part of the salt. So we're going to get sodium chloride and water. We need to look at balancing, so we've got two hydrogens here but only one hydrogen here, so we need to double that one. There's two sodiums here, two chlorines, two sodium chlorides, and now we're balanced. In this example, we'll look at the reaction between nitric acid and magnesium oxide. So, to figure out the salt, we've got magnesium here. This is the positive part of our metal oxide, so that's going to be the positive part of the salt. We've got the negative part of the acid, so that's the nitrate ion, so NO3. Now, we've got a bit of a problem. Magnesium has a 2+ charge. The nitrate ion has a charge of -1. So, we need to do our crissy-crossy technique. So we get MgNO3(2). Now we need to add water. Now we need to balance. So we've got two nitrates here, but only one nitrate over here. So two nitrates, two hydrogens. Let's have a look. One magnesium, 4, 5, 6, 7 oxygens, 6, 7 oxygens, so we're okay. So now we're balanced. Now we're going to look at the reaction between acids and metal hydroxides. Acid plus metal hydroxide, just like we had before, goes to salt and water. So let's look at some examples. So let's have hydrochloric acid reacting with sodium hydroxide. So our salt is made of the positive part of the base, so in this case it's the sodium ion. Negative part of the acid, so in this case it's the chloride ion, so we get sodium chloride again, and we get water. Now, let's have a look at balancing. Two hydrogens, one oxygen, one sodium, one chloride, one chloride. So that one's all balanced. In our second example, we're going to look at the reaction between sulfuric acid and magnesium hydroxide. So, to figure out the salt that's being produced, we've got the positive part of the base, that's going to be the magnesium here. The negative part of the acid is the sulfate ion. Now we've got magnesium has a charge of 2+, sulfate has a charge of 2-, so they balance out, that's okay. And water. Let's check our balancing. 2 hydrogens, 4 hydrogens, so that means we're going to need to double the amount of water molecules. Let's have a look at our oxygens, 2 oxygens, 2 oxygens, 1 sulfate ion, 1 magnesium. So we're balanced. Now we're going to look at the reaction between acids and metal sulfides. General formula is acids plus metal sulfide goes to salt again and hydrogen sulfide. Okay, let's look at some examples. So first we're going to react zinc sulfide, ZnS, with hydrochloric acid. Now, the salt that we're going to produce, the positive part of the base, in this case it's the zinc sulfide, so it's going to be zinc. The negative part of the acid, so that's going to be the chloride, so zinc chloride. Problem with that, so zinc has a charge of 2+, chloride has a charge of 1-, so crissy-crossy, ZnCl2, plus hydrogen sulfide, H2S. So now let's check balancing. Got 1 chlorine, 2 chlorines, so I need to double that one. So 2 hydrogens, 1 sulfur, 1 zinc, 2 chlorine, 2 chlorine. So now that's balanced. So in our next example, we're going to react nitric acid with iron sulfide. So iron 2 sulfide, so ferrous sulfide that would be. Now we need to figure out what the name of the salt is going to be. So the positive ion from the acid is the ferrous ion, so iron 2. Our negative part from the acid is going to be the nitrate ion. So I've got a problem because ferrous ion has a charge of 2 plus, nitrate ion has a charge of 1 minus, so again we need to crissy-crossy. We get FeNO3 2, so 2 nitrates plus hydrogen sulfide. Let's check for balancing. So 1 Fe, so 1 iron, 2 nitrates, only 1 nitrate, so we need to double that one. 2 hydrogens, 1 sulfur, 1 sulfur. So I think we're balanced now. So now we're going to react acids with metals. So general formula, acid plus metal goes to salt plus hydrogen gas. So again, let's look at some examples. So in our first example, we're going to react hydrochloric acid with sodium metal. Again, the salt we're going to be producing, positive part from the metal produces an ion, so it's going to be the metal ion, so the sodium ion. Negative part from the acids, that's going to be chlorine, plus we need to make hydrogen gas, which is H2. Now we need to check for balancing. 2 hydrogens but only 1 hydrogen, so we need to double that. 2 chlorines, only 1 chlorine, so we need to double that. So we need to double our sodiums as well. So 2 hydrogens, 2 sodium, 2 chlorine, 2 chlorine. Now we're balanced. So in our second example, let's look at sulfuric acid plus calcium. So the metal becomes an ion, so we get the calcium ion to make up the salt. Negative part of the acid is the sulfate ion, SO4. Again, we're okay. Calcium makes a 2 plus ion, sulfate makes a 2 minus ion, so that balances out. Plus hydrogen gas. So let's see if we're balanced. H2, H2, 1 calcium, 1 sulfate, all balanced. Lastly, we're going to look at the reaction between acids and metal carbonates and metal hydrogen carbonates. So general formula, acid plus carbonate goes to salt plus carbon dioxide plus water. So let's look at some examples. So in our first example, we're going to react hydrochloric acid again with sodium carbonate. So to make our salt, positive part from the base, so the metal carbonate, so it's going to be sodium ions. Negative part from the acid, so chloride ions again. And plus carbon dioxide plus water, H2O. So check our balancing, 2 sodiums, only 1 sodium, so double that. 1 chloride, 2 chlorides, double that. So 2 chlorine, 2 sodium, 2 sodium. 2 hydrogens, the carbonate and the oxygen from the water make up the CO3. So there we go, so that one's balanced. So in our last example, we're going to look at nitric acid plus sodium hydrogen carbonate, NaHCO3. So our salt, we're going to use the positive part of the base, so it's going to be sodium again. Negative part of the acids, that's the nitrate. So NO3, so sodium nitrate, that one works out. Plus carbon dioxide plus water. Let's check for balancing. 2 hydrogens, carbon, sodium, nitrates, oxygens I think will work out, so we're done. So today on Flipping Science we looked at the reaction between metal oxides and hydroxides, metal sulfides, metals, metal hydrogen carbonates and metal carbonates.